This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
Hello, hello. It is the After Party Live on Friday, and that means Tim Sika is on the way in to review some movies. Some are the same as Michael Snyder, some are different. So it's going to be a really interesting review session with At the Movies with Tim Sika. Love Mo Kelly Day 2, and he knocked it out of the park. So next week is going to be great with him as well. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Any guesses for the classic movie? I know which one it is. I won't tell you ahead of time. I'll let you be surprised. Hello to you, Nancy, and to Rev P, and to Yvonne. I did get a message from, I believe it was Harry that sent me. Well, first of all, I got the message from Kathy O, and I shared this with you yesterday, but I will share it again because I had requested pictures of the beaver supermoon, and I got this one sent in from Kathy O, and I thought that's beautiful, and I'm so happy to have the shot. I love the moon through the trees, looks so beautiful. And then what a surprise yesterday when I got this one from Harry, who sends me a shot of the beaver supermoon perfectly framed by the fronds of a palm tree. How California, and how beautiful is that? I love it. So there's another shot of the beaver supermoon. We'll talk a little bit later in the show about the aurora borealis and the possibility that people in as many as 22 states could have a look at it. We'll talk about that a little later. But before we get into any of that, I wanted to show you this. This is the Florentine diamond. It is a famous gem. And I won't say that it was missing. It was just out of sight. No one, well, many people, there were some people who knew exactly where it was, but many people did not. It has now resurfaced in Canada. It's been missing for more than 100 years. Well, kind of, around 100 years. Empress Zita brought this stone to Canada when the Nazis took over Europe in the 1940s. And it remained in a bank vault ever since. Yeah. And so now we know that it is safe. There were all kinds of thoughts about, was it carved up into smaller gemstones? Would the world ever see it again? Here's Empress Zita. There she is, along with I think it's Charles the First she was married to, and their young son as well. The gemstone is 137 carats. It's a big mama. 137 carat diamond, the color of citron. So it's a yellow diamond. But this diamond, at the height of the Battle of Britain, they say, when the UK government needed a secret location to store 186,332 gold bars, it turned to Canada, shipped that gold across the Atlantic, and it was stored in this vault in Montreal. What they learned from this is that Canada can keep some secrets and keep things safe. So when there was a need for a hiding spot for this famed diamond, once again, royalty turned to Canada to hide it. It's a pear-shaped stone, 137 carats, and it has been part of European royalty adorning people for centuries. And then they say it mysteriously disappeared after the end of the Second World War. And that's when historians were afraid that it had been stolen or carved up or maybe hidden away in South America. But according to a report from the New York Times, this jewel was in Canada. What we know is after the First World War, Austro-Hungarian Emperor Charles I had prized jewels moved to Switzerland for safekeeping over fears of anarchist uprisings there, and then he and his family later fled to Switzerland. they were uprooted again when the Nazis came to power and were moving across Europe. And that is when Charles's wife, the Empress Zita, fled the continent with her 8 children, arriving in the United States with the jewels in a cardboard suitcase. Can you imagine? Then the family went to Canada and settled in Quebec. Her ancestors, Empress Zita's ancestors, Karl von Habsburg Lothringen, who is a grandson, says, "My grandmother felt very safe. She could finally breathe." And he assumed that little suitcase, cardboard suitcase, went into a bank safe, and that was it. In that bank safe, it just stayed. There were only 2 living people at the time, the Empress's sons, Robert and Rodolphe, who were told where the diamond was hidden. And Empress Zita asked that they keep the location and the diamond's existence a secret for 100 years after Charles's death in 1922. Before those 2 men died, they passed the information down to their own sons, saying the fewer people knew about it, the better it would be for security. These are the von Habsburgs, right? So Zita goes back to Europe in 1953 and leaves the jewels at the bank in Quebec, and then dies 4 decades later at the age of 96. So it stays in this bank vault in Canada for this long. And people were thinking, people that watch these things, royal jewels, were speculating that it probably met a horrible end, that it was carved up and sold off. Maybe stolen by the Nazis even. They didn't know. No one knew. Now we know. It has reemerged, unearthed in Canada, and experts say it is most certainly the genuine historical Florentine diamond. The family says they will display this diamond at a Canadian museum in the coming years. They say it will not be up for sale, and they will not disclose how much it might be worth. They got to be careful. The jewels at the Louvre were ripped off. So I hope they have security around this thing. 137 carats. And that is the story of the reemergence of the Florentine diamond. I am so excited. It is time for At the Movies with Tim Sika. Welcome aboard, Tim Sika.
Thank you, Kim. I am just as excited as you are to be on your show today.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think I am.
Well, I love the enthusiasm. You have so many good movies to talk about. The first one is called Nuremberg, and here it is, this very serious topic. What'd you think of the movie, my friend?
Yeah. Okay, well, first of all, this is an historical post-World War II drama. It's based on the book, The Nazi and the Psychiatrist, which I just finished reading. Actually, I finished reading it before I saw the movie because I wanted to see how the adaptation fared.
How was the book? Did you like it?
Yeah, the book was terrific. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and what the book was about, and similarly what the movie is about, it's this military psychiatrist. His name is Douglas Kelly, real life guy, played by Rami Malek in this movie. He's tasked with the assignment of determining whether or not the 22 remaining Nazi officials, chief among them Hitler's second in command, Hermann Goering, played by Russell Crowe, are fit to stand trial at what were to become known as the Nuremberg trials, which were held by the Allies in November of 1945 against the leaders of the defeated Nazi army. So his job was to go in there and determine whether or not these people were sane according to, psychological tenets and precepts and stuff. And he determined, these people were sane. They knew what they were doing. And yeah, you asked me if I liked it. This is a perfectly good, straightforward telling of that tale with a movie style that is sort of subservient to content, top of the line performances, solid craftsmanship. And so for the most part, without any flashy cinematic trappings, this movie does a decent job of telling this post-World War II story. But as I mentioned earlier, having read the book, I personally have some objections to this particular film adaptation, which at times I felt leaned a little too much on dramatic kind of corniness and on the nose preachiness. I don't think they needed to do that. But, Kim, I guess bottom line, with the assault on American democracy pervading the country at the present time, this film in particular, and its message are particularly relevant. And therefore, whatever reservations I personally have about it, I think it is definitely worth checking out. It's movie catnip too for lovers of history and courtroom and political dramas. So I recommend it. It's good. It's good. It's just I've seen just about every Nazi courtroom drama in the book, and so I can't help but think, God, Judgment at Nuremberg. There's a way so much better. But this adds to the canon of Nazi/Holocaust films because it does approach that from a different perspective, which is like the determination of whether these Nazi leaders were depraved perverts, and that's and they weren't. At least psychologically, they knew what they were doing, and therefore the Allies, led by the U.S., knew that they had a case because it was with the Nuremberg trials were the first time that a country was prosecuted that never really fired, dropped a bomb on us or instigated us into war. It was the Japanese and Pearl Harbor, that got us into the Second World War. So it was a very, very, very unique situation. And that's one of the things the movie does pretty well. I have to admit, it goes into that and how strategic and difficult, and almost in the beginning, the prosecuting attorney, the main prosecuting attorney, is played by, God, I can't remember the guy's name. I can't remember, famous actor, was told no, this is impossible. It's never been done in history. There's no way you can even bring charges against these people. They're already defeated. We've won the war. Let's move on. So that's an interesting aspect. So it's a good movie and I recommend it. That's a long way of me coming to say it is a good movie. Check it out. Yeah.
The next one is called Die My Love with Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. When I learned that the director of Die My Love was Scottish filmmaker Lynn Ramsay, who's a very great director, by the way, I kind of went, oh, gee, here we go. She's a filmmaker whose movies are very often painful to watch because they're very dark and they're filled with pain. Mm-hmm. And this movie, Die My Love, while possibly her most accessible film, is no exception. And in it, Jennifer Lawrence, do we have a poster? I don't know if we have a poster.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do.
No, that's okay.
I was just paying attention to you and not paying attention to my job over here.
I was going to say, obviously no, I'm teasing. Anyway, okay. So in it, Jennifer Lawrence, who's in the, boy, that picture on the poster epitomizes this movie. She plays a young mother who develops postpartum depression after the birth of her son, alongside her husband, played by Robert Pattinson, who's experiencing his own problems, and she basically descends into psychosis. So, this may not be a movie for everybody, but if the subject matter intrigues you, it is a very good movie. It's an unsettling one. Again, just overflowing in pain and suffering with very fine performances. Jennifer Lawrence is amazing in this movie. She's also very naked. I thought I would bring that up. The script is solid. The direction is solid. I like the film because there was a lot of literal and figurative symbolism in the movie, which works really well against the realism of the script. And at the end of the day, it's really a hard thing to pull off cinematically. And they do that here without it seeming pretentious, without it advertising itself, and without shoving it in your face. Now, a dog is killed in the movie, which I always like to bring to people's attention. Mm-hmm. You see it coming, but that nevertheless it fails to lessen its impact when it comes. It's really an awful scene. So folks are very sensitive to that kind of thing on screen. Beware. Definitely not a happy movie, but an undeniably good one nevertheless. So I recommend it with those reservations, which I pointed out. If the subject matter doesn't seem like, if you don't enjoy watching, people descend in psychosis and act crazy, especially when there are babies involved, and animals, you may want to look the other way. But it is a very good movie. I mean, I couldn't find one wrong note in it in terms of what it was attempting to do. So
when you say she's naked, do you mean like during the whole childbirth process? And
no, there are a lot of sex scenes in the movie. That's yeah.
Okay.
And the only reason I brought that up is because she's been bringing it up over and over in interviews about this movie, because she was talking about an intimacy coordinator, and how that was helpful, because some filmmakers don't want intimacy coordinators on their movies.
Right.
But she said she was grateful for it. She said Robert Pattinson was a gentleman, and she said she has been in other situations where in movies, because there's sex involved, she didn't name names, but she knew of instances where, the men thought that meant they had free reign with their actress at 6 o'clock, when the cameras shut down and they retired to their trailers. So, I mentioned that because I guess it's a big selling point for the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next one is Peter. Is it Hujar?
Peter Hujar. Yeah.
Hujar's Day.
Peter Hujar's Day. Peter Hujar's a real person. He's a photographer. And this is a kind of a biographical drama of sorts. And I say of sorts because it's really only, like the title says, Peter Hujar's Day. It depicts one day in the life of this real life photographer, Peter Hujar, who was an American photographer, best known for his black and white portraits, and who died of AIDS in 1988. It's set during the 70s, and the quote unquote drama, the so-called drama, because everything about this film is so inert and summarily unimpactful. It centers around this photographer, Peter Hujar, being interviewed by his friend Linda, played by Rebecca Hall, presumably for a personality piece his friend was, going to write about him, but never did. And the movie is 76 minutes. 76 minutes. Without credits, it's about an hour and 10 minutes of mundane nothingness, which I guess we're all supposed to relate to in some way, but I doubt audiences will. I didn't, and I'm a fan of this director, Ira Sachs's work. This movie, I'm watching this movie. I saw it in LA last week, and I'm watching this movie, and I'm going, who are these people this Peter Hujar's talking about? What is he talking about? And really, why should I care? I barely knew who these people were that Peter Hujar, admittedly very well played by Ben Whishaw, was referencing. His telling of his day, of the title, it's nothing but bits of inconsequential minutia. There's absolutely no story here, and by extension, there's no point, in my opinion, to the film either. The writer-director Ira Sachs, whose work I'm a big fan of, said that the film is about what it's like to be an artist among artists in a city where no one was making any money in the 70s, and that would have been New York. Okay. I read somewhere where this concept of this movie was originally conceived as a short film, which makes total sense because this movie, despite its meager 76-minute runtime, you'd think it'd feel like, oh, the movie's over already. Yeah. This movie felt like 4 hours, and I am not exaggerating. Every frame seemed like a form of life imprisonment without parole. I mean, who knows? And I want to know who's the audience for this movie. Maybe a handful of like disenchanted or disenfranchised artists, maybe, but certainly not for any kind of general or even boutique audience. So I say, really, I mean, it pains me to say this, Ira Sachs, because I'm a fan of his work. I've interviewed him many times. I hope he doesn't ever hear this, but I don't know what he was thinking when he made this movie.
I guess that's a skip it, huh?
It is a skip it with a capital S and a capital I, or all caps.
Oh no, not the dreaded all caps.
The dreaded all caps, yeah. No, really, it's just honestly, I can't describe what it was like watching this movie, because it wasn't even a movie. It was like two people in a room, and occasionally they'd go out on the terrace, but they were in a room and they were talking about things like, who are these people? I think there were one or two references of other artists that I had heard of, but I just threw up my hands.
Maybe it was supposed to be artsy, Tim.
Maybe, but I think it doesn't even succeed on that level, because it's like artsy to me, at least, is like interesting, should be interesting. This was like,
Not.
no, really. In a way, I feel like it would be something really interesting, like if you had like a watch party at your house and you wanted to like show friends, like, hey, I'm going to show you something. It's not long, so don't worry. If you're like lose it, you lose interest, but I want to show you this, and then I want to know what your takeaway is. And I think people would like just be like staring. I don't know. That was my reaction to Peter Hujar's Day.
The next movie, the name of this next movie sounds like the working title that never. Oops, is this it? Yeah, it's called Sentimental Value.
Yeah, I think the Sentimental Value title is probably something the American distributor slapped on it. I don't know what the Norwegian title is. Yeah, that's like a goofy title, but it kind of describes this movie, and this is a good one. It's directed by Norwegian filmmaker Joachim Trier, and it's spoken in both Norwegian with English subtitles, but also in English. It stars Stellan Skarsgård. He's not even in that. No, the daughters are in that photo. Anyway, he plays a once influential movie director who hasn't made a film in 15 years, and in his personal life, he's been an absent father. So it's also about his efforts to reconcile with his two estranged daughters, which he hopes to accomplish by making a personal film about their family history. And he wants one of the daughters to star in it, which I don't know about that. I don't know what a psychiatrist would say about that. But anyway, so this movie is about what this movie is about fundamentally is about mending and healing deeply fractured familiar relationships, which make for some good movie storytelling drama, as they do here. The Scandinavian background and the language might be an initial obstacle for many viewers, but they do speak English in this movie too. And I found out that English is a language nearly as common as Norwegian is spoken in that country. But if you can get past that, I think there's something here. Well, obviously, there's something here for everybody. Certainly all families can relate to, in terms of the kinds of pain and hurt parents and children can inflict upon each other, feelings of neglect and lack of love and focusing of career in place of just being there for your kids. All that stuff is universally relatable. And this is a film filled with character and story relatability of that kind. And it's a story about the healing of that kind of emotional trauma. So you get a very satisfying payoff at movie's end. So yeah, very good movie, an emotionally effective movie with nuanced characterizations and scripting. And at the end of the day, a highly recommendable one. So
highly recommended. Okay.
Yeah, Sentimental Value.
I don't mind the subtitles. I watched a series. It was a weird series about this woman who was supposed to find a date for Christmas dinner, and it was a Norwegian like series that was on Netflix. They have a lot of Norwegian things on Netflix, it turns out.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah.
And I didn't mind it at all. You kind of get into it and you forget that you're watching something in a different language, and you just start reading everything. It's so fine.
Yeah, that's a testament to the movie. If you forgot you were reading subtitles. What was the name of the series? You remember?
I forget. I'll have to look it up and tell you next time, because it's really good for this time of year, and it's very funny. And I really enjoyed it. So
I'll
look it up.
Okay.
The next movie you have is called Dead Man's Wire.
Yes, this is also based on a true story. And it's also based on this 2018 documentary called Dead Man's Line. And how would I describe? This is it's a serious movie, but it's also a black comedy crime film about, again, this is why I like watching movies so much, is I get to visit worlds that normally, first of all, some that I never knew existed, and ones that do exist that I would never enter otherwise. But this is about this 1977 kidnapping of this mortgage broker. His name was Richard Hall, by this guy named Tony Kiritsis. That's him in the picture. He's played by Bill Skarsgård, who's actually Stellan Skarsgård's son, who was starred in the movie we just talked about. Okay. But anyway, it's about the kidnapping of this mortgage broker, Richard Hall, by this guy named Tony Kiritsis in Indianapolis, Indiana, in 1977, when the latter, Tony Kiritsis, the kidnapper, who had fallen behind on his mortgage payments for a piece of real estate that he owned, claimed that Hall, the mortgage broker, was trying to swindle him. So in one day, February 1977, he went into Hall's office, the mortgage broker's office, and wired the muzzle of a 12-gauge Winchester 1400 sawed-off shotgun to the back of this guy's head.
Oh, God.
Now the wire was also connected to the trigger, and the other end was connected to Hall's neck, hence the title of this movie. This dead man's wire meant that if a policeman shot at Kiritsis, the kidnapper, holding Hall hostage in this way, the shotgun would go off and shoot Hall in the head.
Wow.
And the same would happen if Hall tried to escape, the guy that was being held hostage. So this is a movie that is rife with tension, as well as suspense and knowing just exactly how all of this is going to play out. I didn't know, because I hadn't seen the documentary and I didn't know how it was going to turn out. But it is a very interesting movie. It's a very interesting story. It's an interesting blending of comedy and dramatic tonalities, and very, very entertaining. It's kind of like you're on the edge of your seat. It's directed by Gus Van Sant, the director's first film in 7 years. And again, it stars Bill Skarsgård. He's in the photo there. He plays the kidnapper. And yeah, he's very good. And the movie's very good. And just for entertainment value, this is one, people can go to and just enjoy as a really good piece of entertainment, and also a pretty accurate depiction of what actually happened one day in Indianapolis, Indiana, in 1977. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And that's in theaters?
In theaters. All the movies we talked about this week are now playing in theaters. Yeah.
We had some people trying to guess what your classic movie recommendation of the week would be.
What did they say? They're never going to guess.
I think I have to scroll back, but I think there was someone said, is it going to be Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend? Is that a movie?
That's actually a song from a movie called Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. Yes.
Yeah, there were some people guessing, but they definitely didn't get it right. But my point in telling you this is that people are wanting to know. They're clamoring.
Oh, they're engaged. I love it.
They're engaged. Yeah. They want to know. So your classic movie rec of the week is How Green Was My Valley.
Yeah, from 1941.
Wow, that is a classic.
That is a classic. It's director John Ford's classic black and white family drama, which, this movie is emotionally majestic and spiritually moving, and one of the director's undisputed masterpieces, and a movie which neither fades or fails or lessens after you watch it over and over and over again, which I have over the years watched this beautiful movie. It's the story of hardworking South Wales miners and their families, as seen through the eyes of this young boy. His name is Hugh. He's played by a very young Roddy McDowall, and he plays the youngest of 6 children in a family headed by this stern father, played by Douglas Crisp, and a very loving mother, played by Irish actress Sarah Allgood. And the story is set at the turn of the century and told in flashback. And the film's visuals are so stunning and so beautiful. They show this like unspoiled valley that's full of love and full of warmth, wherein the trials and the hardships of the community are told through this series of deeply moving vignettes. That's Walter Pidgeon in the photo with young Roddy McDowall. Everything about this film is touching. John Ford's direction, which won him his 3rd Academy Award for directing, he would go on to win 4, it slowly builds one simple scene upon another scene with very little plot, but whose cumulative emotional power is literally overwhelming. I hope I'm not overselling this movie or overhyping it, because every time I watch this movie, if I want to say to folks listening, if you really want a good cry, and by that I mean a satisfying cry that is not manipulative, it's not one that's very organic and that rises from this story that's being told, this is the movie for you. The score by Alfred Newman, which features these incredibly noble and beautiful Welsh male voices, it's soul stirring. I don't know how to say it, but if you've never seen this film, I would say proceed without caution and check it out immediately on Prime Video. You'll be glad that you did, and you'll thank me for it. Trust me.
Prime Video. Okay, so easy to get a hold of.
Very easy to get a hold of, and it's so beautiful. Just the opening credits, you're already there in this world. It's just beautiful. Beautiful
looking
movie.
For this movie, I'm seeing some in black, most in black and white, but there are a few color pictures. Was it recolored or redone later on?
Oh God, I hope not. I really color. I don't know what those color pictures are. Sometimes, no, actually, no. There were these things called lobby cards, which theater owners would put in their display cases or in the doors when you came in. They were like, I don't know what size they were, 18 by 12 by 18 or whatever. And they were scenes from the movie. And sometimes, and I remember this as a kid, a black and white movie would sometimes have colorized scenes, but I don't know why they did that. So in answer to your question, it's a long rambling answer to your question. No, they're just colorized. The whole movie is in stunning black and white. And for people to say, oh, I don't like black and white movies, this movie is gorgeous. And it really, it boasts how under the right hands and under the right cameraman, the right director of photography, black and white photography is an art. It's in some ways more effective, depending upon the story you want to tell, more effective than color cinematography. And in this case, this movie could have only been shot in black and white, and it's still beautiful, gorgeous. Yeah, great movie. How Green Was My Valley. So great movie.
Maureen O'Hara stars in this movie. Was this around the same time as Gone with the Wind, or what? It
was 1941. I think she was like 19 when she. Okay. No, wait. She was 18 or 19 when she did The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was 1939. So she would have been about 20 or 21. And Maureen O'Hara she's one of the most beautiful, naturally beautiful women that has ever graced the movie screen. And her acting in this is great. She looks so beautiful. Yeah. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, it's okay.
I have goosebumps when I talk about this movie.
I love you're passionate about this movie. How Green Is My Valley from 1941. All right, Tim, we're going to re-rack it. We're going to do the Tim Sika recap. Here it is. Nuremberg, you said this movie is a perfectly good retelling of this story. Top of the line performances, solid craftsmanship. But as far as the movie versus the book, you found the movie unnecessarily corny in some spots, still a relevant message for our time. You think that lovers of history and politics will love this movie. You said Judgment at Nuremberg was better, but you recommend Nuremberg.
Yes.
As for Die, My Love, there's some disturbing parts of this movie. You said it might not be for everyone. There is the unsettling message about pain and suffering and postpartum psychosis. There's a warning about violence against animals. So you had some reservations about this movie, but you said the script is good, the direction is solid, it's a good movie, but not necessarily a happy movie. So proceed with it that way. As for Peter Hujar's Day, This is a big skip it with a capital S. You said it's about one day in the life of a photographer, and you said it's 76 minutes of mundane nothingness, no story, no point to this movie, way too long, even though it's a short movie. You said don't even bother with Peter Hujar's day.
Yeah.
Sentimental value. You said this movie, if you can get past the language difference, which I think I can, that there's something to relate to here. Family, career, lack of love, neglect, healing. It's relatability, and there's a good payoff at the end of this. You highly recommend this movie called Sentimental Value. As for Dead Man's Wire, ooh, you got me wanting to go see this movie. You said it's tension and suspense and an interesting story and a blend of drama and comedy, and it keeps you right on the edge of your seat the whole time. That's my kind of movie, Tim. You said this is very good. It's an accurate telling of the event, which happened in real life, apparently. You recommend Dead Man's Wire. And as for your classic movie Wreck of the Week, you can't recommend enough How Green Was My Valley from 1941. You said it's emotionally majestic, spiritually moving. This movie doesn't fade after you watch it. We all have to watch it this weekend. How Green Was My Valley. That's on the list. Yeah.
Excellent recap, Kim McAllister. Yay!
Thank you, Tim. You brought us so much. We've got some comments to look at.
Okay.
Heather agrees with you. She says it doesn't really bother me when people croak in the movies, but if something happens to an animal, I'm done for. She says, no kidding.
Really, seriously, Heather, I'm there with you. I can't. Yeah. Oh, it's yeah. Isn't that? What does that say about us that we'd rather see people die than animals?
I know. Eileen makes the comment she was pregnant when she made this film, and I think she might be talking about
Maureen O'Hara.
No, I think.
Oh, no. Jennifer Lawrence. Yes,
Jennifer Lawrence.
actually, she's correct. I think I read somewhere she was 4 months pregnant when she made it. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Because that would have been really hard to go through that, not knowing if at the end of your pregnancy you were going to go through some type of postpartum depression, and then thinking about it kind of gets in your head, and God.
You know what's interesting about that too, and I remember some of the scenes and some of the sex scenes and just some of the physical stuff that she had to do. I'm in retrospect, I'm wondering, God, did she put herself in harm's way? Because there's a lot of physical stuff she's doing in this movie, and being 4 months pregnant, I don't know. That's interesting. Anyway.
We have Yvonne who's saying, I remember Maureen O'Hara in a John Wayne movie. I was a big fan of his. Good movie. I think it was The Irishman. We don't know.
They've made a couple movies together. The one I like the best is a movie called McClintock, which is kind of like a Western comedy. Yeah, they were, and Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne were like the best of pals in real life. They carried on a lifelong friendship that lasted until his death. Yeah.
Eileen wants you to know we really enjoyed last week's rec of House of Dynamite. Very much on the edge of your seat film. And Eileen appreciated that movie recommendation from you.
Great.
And I wanted to give you one last one. Nullifidian saw a good courtroom drama last night called Trial and Error with Michael Richards and Jeff Daniels. I haven't heard of that movie.
Have not seen it either, but I'm going to make a note of it now. Thank you.
Yeah, and Zero Sum is going to try to watch a few of the movies that you recommended. So there you go.
Great. There we go. Yay! Okay, Kim McAllister.
Tim Sika. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the great job you always do for us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks, Kim. Looking forward to talking to you next week.
At the Movies with Tim Sika. Bye-bye, Tim.
Bye, Kim.
And there we go. Love it. So now we have some movies on our list. I definitely think that I am going to attempt to see Dead Man's Wire. That one seemed to be pretty interesting. And the way Tim talked about How Green Was My Valley makes me want to see it. When he says it's, what did he call it? Emotionally majestic. You got me. He's got me with his magic words. Definitely. All right, let's move on because we've got some other stories to talk about today. And that includes this story about the pink river dolphin. Look how cute this creature is. I have never before in my life seen this animal. The pink river dolphin lives in the Amazon. And the pink river dolphin is in some big trouble because the temperatures in the rivers, in some of the rivers in the Amazon, are rising. It's like a hot tub for these creatures, and they're not able to survive it. Droughts and heat waves causing water in some areas to become very, very warm, killing fish and these endangered pink river dolphins, which breaks my heart because this dolphin is so cute looking. Man, this shallow waters of Lake Tefé, which were only 2 meters deep, averaged warmer than a spa bath. Some of the researchers said they couldn't even put their fingers in the water, that it was just hot. Not in the top, but down on the bottom. Really, really hot. You put your finger in and remove it instantly because it was unbearable. They found the floating carcasses of up to 200 of these river dolphins washed up over a 6-week period around September of 2023. And they said no one in that region had seen this happen before. It was completely surreal. They said super scary. So, this incident with the pink river dolphins led researchers to take a look at other bodies of water across the Amazon region. And they said half of the 10 lakes that they looked into experienced exceptionally high daytime water temperatures. They published their study in the journal Science. The researchers analyzing water temperatures from central Amazonian lakes during the drought of 2023, followed by another extreme drought late last year with record-breaking low water levels and severe heating of the lakes. Amazon lakes, they say, have been warming each decade over the last 30 or so years, rates higher than the global average, according to what researchers found. At the same time, the lakes are also shrinking. During the 2024 drought, Lake Tefé lost about 75% of its surface area. That's where these river dolphins live. So, the researchers say the paper shows there's extraordinary impact of climate change here, even on huge ecosystems like the Amazon, that the impact is not restricted to the forests, but to the aquatic realm as well. Sad. Most of the fish and the dolphins and the manatees normally breed in low water season. And they said it's likely that 2023 would have been a disastrous year, reproductively speaking, for most of these species. And if this happens repeatedly, their populations are going to severely decline. And some of these animals are already endangered, like the pink river dolphin. Breaks my heart. All I know about the dingo is the quote, "The dingo ate my baby," right? I mean, we've all heard that quote. There's a state in Australia that is now considering rule changes to allow dingoes to be pets, which could be problematic. It's the government of Queensland, Australia, considering a classification change that would allow dingoes to be kept as household pets. This potential change would see dingoes reclassified as Canis familiaris, domestic dogs, right? The change being considered as part of a review of Queensland's biosecurity laws ahead of legislative amendments expected to be made in the spring. They say the dingoes are classified currently as an invasive species in Queensland, meaning they can't be released, relocated, fed, sold, or kept. They say dingoes will continue to be protected in national parks, and landholders will still be able to take action to protect livestock from wild dog or wild dingo attacks. But the potential rule change is getting some pushback from wildlife advocates and experts. They say dingoes aren't dogs. You can't classify them as dogs. Alex Livingstone of the nonprofit Defend the Wild said they are genetically, evolutionarily, and behaviorally a distinct species that play an irreplaceable ecological role as Australia's apex land predator. That there's a genetic researcher specializing in dingoes saying these animals do not make suitable pets. They're more wild is the quote. So they don't do well in home environments as domestic dogs. They're much smarter. They're much better able to escape traditional domestic household home environments in terms of climbing up fences. And they just generally don't fit into most domestic settings as easily. Right now, as it is, dingoes are currently legal to keep as pets in New South Wales and Western Australia. But rescue groups said many of the animals end up being abandoned or surrendered by their owners because people just can't handle it. So, could be in Queensland that you're able to have a pet dingo. I don't know about that. I wanted to tell you about this murder mystery. I know it's a disturbing set of pictures of this ancient skull. The mystery is of a medieval duke, and the remains recount his grisly murder. In the year 1272, Hungary's Bela of Moscow received at least 23 gashes with a sword and even more injuries as well. This Hungarian duke murdered in cold blood, and the details around the killing have remained murky for centuries. We know he met his demise at the hands of enemies. What motivated the killers, how the attack unfolded, well, that's all under examination by this international team of researchers. And now they've come out with this much more clear, reliable picture of this fatal encounter. The findings published in the journal Forensic Science International Genetics corroborate the skeletal remains, and show that the Duke's death was not a crime of passion. So who was this person? Who was the Duke? Bela of Moscow, born into the house of Arpad sometime around 1243 CE. He was the grandson of the Hungarian King Bela IV on his mother's side, part of the northern Scandinavian Rurik dynasty from his father. And Bela eventually becomes the Ban, which is a title similar to a viceroy, the Ban of Moscow. Austrian records from the 13th century report that a fellow Ban named Henrik Kozecki killed Bela sometime in November of 1272, and his mutilated remains were later collected by his sister and his niece to be buried in a Dominican monastery near present-day Budapest. His body stayed there for about 643 years until there was an archaeological excavation in about 1915. And they did a bioanthropological analysis published in 1936 that revealed the Duke didn't die in a duel, contrary to some accounts. Instead, they said the 23 sword gashes and multiple fatal skull injuries indicate an ambush from multiple assailants was likely the most likely cause of death. So for decades, anthropologists thought Bela's bones likely disappeared sometime during World War II. But his remains were accidentally rediscovered in a wooden box at the Hungarian Museum of Natural History in 2018. And after this chance discovery, archaeologists, geneticists, and dentists started a multi-year effort to finally understand how the Duke met his grisly end. So after they confirmed that the remains actually were those of Bela of Moscow, the team tried to reconstruct the crime scene based on all of his injuries. They identified 26 injuries sustained around the time of death, 9 to the skull, 17 to the postcranial bones, and given the angles of each trauma, the study's authors believe the coordinated attack was undertaken by 3 people. One approached head-on, 2 others met him simultaneously on his left and his right. It would have been hard to survive this attack, right? The location of the injuries suggests the Duke faced his assassins in an open confrontation, was aware of the aggression, attempted to defend himself. The attackers used two different types of weapons to commit the murder, likely a saber and a long sword. The deep gashes indicate the Duke also wasn't wearing body armor at the time. And researchers say they're confident they even have a potential timeline of the injuries. They say it appears Kozecki and his accomplices began striking Bella on the head and upper body before he tried to block them, resulting in grievous defensive wounds. Additional attacks on his sides caused Bella to fall to the ground, at which point his murderers continued to aim at his head and his face. The pattern of injuries indicated both planning and intense emotional involvement. Too bad we can't take those guys to trial, right? In addition to confirming Bella's identity, they said their approach illustrates the power of integrating multidisciplinary methods to confirm historical hypothesis and reconstruct violent deaths from the past with unprecedented detail. They say the bones of Bella represent the only nearly complete skeleton from a descendant of the house of Arpad, apart from the killing of King Bella III, or apart from rather King Bella III, not killing. That cataloging the genetic information now allows researchers to learn some more details about the genetics of the era's royalty, and may only be a matter of time before additional medieval cold case files are open and then closed. Look at all they can learn just from a skeleton. Okay, I wanted to make sure we got to the story of Aurora Borealis mentioned on the Mark Thompson show, but the Northern Lights will be visible in likely 22 states and Canada and elsewhere. Thursday, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration said Aurora Borealis storms should carry on through Friday, and they can be observed somewhere on Earth from just after sunset or just before sunrise. The National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration predicting this could be visible in the northern United States as far down as Illinois and Nebraska, in Canada, and in some other countries as well. What you're seeing here is Aurora Borealis, the view from an airplane. So, experts suggested late Thursday night, last night, into early this morning, we could get a glimpse, but also tonight as well. They say it doesn't need to be directly overhead. It can be observed from as far as 1,000 kilometers away when the aurora is bright and if conditions are just right. So, could be cool. Shall we end it with this lady who has such perseverance? I just gotta respect playing the same lottery numbers over and over and over again. And finally has some success. This woman played the lottery for 6 years using the same numbers. Finally walks away with $154,000. She's from North Carolina. Her name is Hope. And isn't that appropriate? She said she learned the value of persistence when playing the same set of lottery numbers for 6 years finally resulted in a win. She said she selected this numbers for a cash 5 drawing 6 years ago, and she's just been using them ever since. Her sister convinced her to keep playing the same numbers, told her, "You're going to win someday." And her sister's prediction comes true on Monday when a $1 ticket that she bought from the Lucky Stop ends up winning her the $154,000 jackpot. Here's her quote. "I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's me. I won. I was so excited." She said her surprise brought on a flood of emotion. She was in the living room crying. She is going to pay bills with her 154 grand and says, "I love the cash 5 now." I don't even know if we have that in California, but good for Hope. Good job. Wonderful. All right. That is the after party live for this Friday. We wrap it up. I want to thank everyone for the stories, whether you sent me pictures of the moon, stories, messages of support. Got a message of support from Julie D last night. Got some pictures from Kathy O and Harry. got some contributions to the show as well. Always appreciate everyone who works together to keep this show going in one way or another. Do want to thank specifically Wes, who threw in a 5 yesterday, Mary Zane B, Wes a couple more times this week, Carol S. Huge thank you to everyone who contributes to this show. So appreciated. And thank you guys for being here and always spending your afternoon, an hour of your afternoon on the After Party Live. We'll have more Mo Kelly on the Mark Thompson Show next week. I hope you enjoyed his filling in so far, and I hope you make it a really great weekend. I will see you right back here on YouTube Monday at 11 a.m. Until then, bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
No, he's in South America. We won't be back through next week. Thanks, Teacher Lori.